Hello, everyone, and welcome back to a fresh episode of JD's Wildcat World. It's been a while. It's been a very long time, actually, since I've had a chance to sit down and record an episode. But here we are, and the Cats are dancing on the second weekend, still in the NCAA tournament, for the first time since 2019, as they beat Illinois 84-75. They defeat Troy in the first round, 76-57. And now we're on to the Tennessee Volunteers, which is an insane matchup in a Sweet 16 in the tournament, as they've already played each other twice. Kentucky has came out on top both times, so let's make it a third. But I want to take a minute to just talk about the excitement around Big Blue Nation. An insane game yesterday. An insane environment. Illinois, it seemed like, had more fans than Kentucky. I don't know if that's ever happened in a tournament game. I think it's the combination of it being in Milwaukee, Illinois is closer, obviously, and BBN floods in Nashville for the SEC tournament. So you spend all that money going there. You kind of want to take a weekend off before heading up to Indy. But the Cats overcame the crowd. They overcame everything. They never let the Illinois crowd get into the game, to be honest with you. Illinois made a couple quick runs, but anytime they made a run, we responded. And whether it was Lamont Butler who carried this team, honestly, in that game, offensively and defensively. It was great to see him have his shot back. He finishes with 14 points, which was definitely out of nowhere. Since he's been back from his injury, hasn't been able to do much offensively. But he did it when it mattered. And like I said earlier, the Cats are going to the Sweet 16 for the first time since 2019, and man, does it feel great. I can't tell you how great of a coaching job this is. And I don't want to down our players at all. That's not what I'm doing. I love this team. I love everybody on the team. I think that everybody plays their role significantly well and they do a great job in their role. But the fact is, if we play Illinois in November or maybe even December, I think we get beat by 15, 20 points, if we're being honest. I just think our defense has improved so much since then. I think that's why we're able to make this run, is because we've tightened things up on the defensive end. There's still some lapses, but defensively in November, December, we were dreadful. I'm talking high 100s in the nation. And now our defensive efficiency is pretty dang solid. I think we're top 40 now. And, that's huge. That's a huge turnaround. And it's coaching, it's the players buying into playing defense. I always thought with Coach Pope's teams, the offense was going to take care of itself, and I still feel that way. He runs such a prolific offense that you're always moving, you're always cutting, you're going to be open, and you're going to have easy shots. But I really am so impressed with how they do things, how they've done things defensively this season. The back half of the season, I will say, they finally bought in, playing great defense, and now you see where we are. We are in the Sweet 16. Our second leading scorer, who I thought arguably was the best player on the team this season, and Jackson Robinson. And I hate it for him that he's not getting to play. He shined in March last year at BYU, but we're doing it without him. We're doing it without Kirk Risa, who was a solid piece off the bench this season in critical games. And we're doing it with guys that came from lower programs that are here, and they're embracing their time here. And I just couldn't be more happy to be a Kentucky fan. These guys understand what it means to wear Kentucky across their chest. A lot of it has to do with Coach Pope and his staff drilling that into them, but they themselves are very thankful to be here. And us as a fan base, I think I speak for all of BBN when I say we're thankful that they are here. It's just a sweet moment. It's a surreal moment. Last night, tearing up as we get that win. It's surreal because we've waited 6 years for this, and a lot of programs, that's not like, if you make a Sweet 16 every 6 years, you're ecstatic. But it's Kentucky, it's different, and as a fan base, we miss that a lot. I found myself when the tournament started, when I saw that bracket and I posted on Wildcat World Facebook page, I don't think we could have got a better draw. And right then in that moment before anything else happened, I'm like, man, if you could just make the second weekend, you could go on a magical run. You can do things, but you've got to get there first. They took care of business against Troy. They didn't let the ghost of Oakland and St. Peter's past get in their way. They took care of business there. Thought they played solid. I don't think Troy was on the same level as Oakland was last year, but the Cats still took care of business. And then you see Illinois dismantle Xavier in the first game that they played, and your panic meter goes up. I mean, I'm not going to lie. We opened as underdogs. I actually opened as favorite, got bet down to underdog. And then when the game started, we were still underdogs. And it just shows how resilient these guys are. They went out, they took care of their business. I think Illinois led at one point in the game, was like 5-4. But after that, almost wire to wire leading, and that's huge. It really is. It's huge and shocking. But I say it's shocking, but then again, these good teams we played, we took care of. And I'm so happy with the guys and with Coach Pope. To return 0 points from last year's roster to go to a Sweet 16 is just an amazing coaching job. I don't think that can be understated at all. In the game, I think shutting down their best player, Yakachonis, I think is his name. He's potentially a top 10 pick. To play defense on him the way we did, you had Lamont on him, you sent Colin Chandler after him. He hit a couple threes, but we did not let him get many open looks. And if they were open, they were very deep, and it was shots that he missed for the most part. That's a good scout. That's good preparation, and the guys took care of it. And Big Z's brother hit a couple threes down the stretch. Illinois cuts it to 6 with about a minute and a half left, and I'm thinking, as someone who was in attendance for the SEC tournament game against Oklahoma, I'm thinking, please no, not a repeat. We can't do this. We're so close to the second weekend. We cannot let this happen again where they creep back in. We're up 6. We get the ball. Andrew Carr gets a big and one and pretty much seals the deal. And he's had a track record this year of getting and ones in critical spots. I think against Duke and Gonzaga both. He had big plays, and he didn't do much on offense yesterday, but his defense was very impressive, which is another thing that I want to speak on since we're talking about Andrew Carr. His defense from November to now has improved as much as anybody on the team, I feel like. He couldn't guard anybody at the beginning of the year, and he knows that. Staff knew that. He's bought in. He's healthy now, and I want to shout out Kobe Brea, too, for defending his butt off. Kobe carried us on offense yesterday. He was on fire, but his defense on Illinois' guards, who are streaky and can hit shots at any moment, was very, very solid. I just want to shout out the whole team. Amari, he has his ups and downs. There's no doubt about it. I wonder many times why he doesn't just dunk the ball when he has it down low, but his defense was great yesterday. He had 2 steals and dunks that were huge points in the game. He just did things that we really needed at that moment. The bench, Colin Chandler, Brandon Garrison, 2 guys that really stepped up. Pope kind of cut down the rotation for the first time. I thought that was huge. Are we going to see more of that against Tennessee? I'm not sure. We'll see. I know Trent Noah played well against Tennessee both times that we played them, so maybe he gets a look. But I think we ride now, right? I mean, we're here. We're at the Sweet 16 now. You can argue you're playing with house money. Do I want to beat Tennessee? Absolutely. They're honestly probably my most hated team right now, other than Auburn, for multiple reasons, but you've got to go beat them. You're here now, and I say house money, but then I'm sitting here like, oh my gosh, if we lose, how miserable will that be? But I'm sure in the long term, I would look at it different. In that moment, it would suck, but looking at it in the future, I think we've already exceeded expectations for this team with a depleted roster. If we had a full roster, I think it's different, but when you lose Jackson Robinson and you make a Sweet 16, I think that's a heck of a job overall. So I'm super happy with how the seasons went so far. To be Coach Pope's first year, for him to build this roster in a month, for him to get them to buy in, focus on the defensive side of the ball. It's all just a work of art, and it's working in Big Blue Nation's favor as we're still alive. And March Madness this year's kind of been chalk for the most part. The good teams have really stood out, I feel like. But the main thing is, Cats are still dancing as a 3 seed. And now we move on to Tennessee. I wanted to shout out and talk about the game itself yesterday. Kobe Brea, man, I touched on him a minute. He played 36 minutes, was 10 of 16 from the field, 3 of 8 from 3, 23 points, and 6 rebounds. 6 rebounds is wild for Kobe. He did that very well. I thought Otega played very solid in the second half, too. I haven't even mentioned Otega. He's been our best player all year. How do I go the first 12 minutes without mentioning Otega Oweh? I felt like Otega could get to the rim just like any other game this year at will. They ran a set for him straight out of the half that worked 2 or 3 times in the game where they would throw it to Amari in the post and Otega would run around a little screen, hand off to him. They've ran it several times this year. It's a beautiful offense, and it seems to work about every time. He's definitely been the most consistent player, and he continues to do great things for us. He's a guy in March that you definitely want on your team. We've seen him hit 2 game winners this season. He continues to hit shots when they're needed. I think, honestly, you look at the bracket now and you're thinking, man, if you can beat Tennessee, what if Purdue could upset Houston and Indy? I mean, Purdue's definitely going to have the crowd. You're looking and you're like, man, if somehow that could happen, which I'm not really scared of anybody. Houston, I feel like, is not a good matchup for us at all, but they also haven't played anyone. I know the Big 12 has some decent teams, but they were definitely down this year compared to what they usually are. So it would be an interesting matchup. I'd much rather play Purdue, though. I think we match up better with Purdue. But we got to get past Tennessee first. And it looks like I'll be in attendance in Indy, which will be insane. Last time I went to the Sweet 16 Elite 8 games was when we were there, 2019, in Kansas City. And Tyler Hero hit a game winner against Houston. So it all ties together, I guess. But I'm ready. I know BBN's ready to explode. I've felt the excitement these last couple days more than I have since 2019. I mean, there's a reason for it, too. We're still playing. We can actually watch these other games and be happy about it. I know when we get eliminated, it's hard for me to get into watching the tournament consistently after that because I need a couple days to just unwind. But now you don't have to worry about that. We can watch the Thursday night Sweet 16 games without having to worry. And then we'll see what Friday brings. As far as Tennessee goes, we've seen them twice already this year. They have guys that are very good scorers and very good defenders. They're a solid team. They actually opened as a favorite. It's down to 3.5 points now, but Tennessee is still favored. Obviously, their main weapon on the offensive side is Chaz Lanier transfer from North Florida, who is very streaky. Didn't do much against us both times we played. I loved the staff's game plan on shutting him down, and hopefully they stay with it again. I don't see why they wouldn't stay with the same game plan that they had on him the last 2 times. Does he still hit shots? Yes, but he hasn't had the games that he's had in previous ones against us. I feel like we've done a very solid job with him. It's Kai Ziegler, who has been at Tennessee for 12 years, still there. Starting point guard. Usually, I would say let him shoot the tourney. He's been shooting a little better from 3, but definitely you want to make Tennessee shoot. That first game in Knoxville that we won, they shot 45 threes. I don't see that happening again. I know Rick Barnes will game plan to drive the ball and shoot inside the 3-point line. So it'll definitely be an interesting matchup for sure. Either way, you're guaranteed an SEC team to the Elite 8. It'll be a heck of a matchup, and, we've already beat them twice. The Cats, I think they come out on top. I mean, we're already in the Sweet 16. Why not just take it all the way? Why not predict us to go all the way at this point? They've done it twice. I don't see any reason why they can't do it again. Does Tennessee come out with a different game plan? I would assume so. But it's going to be hard to stop our guys, especially with Lamont back being somewhat. I mean, I wouldn't say he's healthy because he's not healthy, but giving you an offensive game totally changes things. And Colin Chandler being a spark off the bench, if he can hit a couple threes, I mean, you're because you didn't get either one of those things in the matchup at Rupp with Tennessee, and we still controlled the game. So if you get Lamont Butler offensive game and a couple points from Colin Chandler, I mean, I think we're cooking with grease. I think um, as long as we shut them down and they don't go on a crazy 3-point shooting streak, which they're not known for at all. But could it happen? Absolutely. It's the tournament. Anything can happen. Um, so, real quick, to take a break from the Cats, some personal news about the podcast. And, I haven't had time to do. When I have my podcast, I want to make sure that they're worth listening to. I don't want to half-ass it, and I just have not had time. I've been working 2 jobs. I've been going at it constantly, it feels like, and so I'm not gonna half-ass things, and I thought us making a tournament run was definitely worth making time for, and, so we're back. Hopefully, we can keep this up as the run continues. Hopefully, I'll have time to record, but you can keep up with me on socials, on Facebook, Twitter, all that, on the Wildcat World page, and what I wanted to talk about with the podcast is JD's Wildcat World was named top 40 sports podcast in the state of Kentucky, which is huge for me, especially to not have recorded an episode in a while. It's just honestly to see, of course, KSR is number 1, and then you had Sources Say, which is another huge one on the KSR podcast network. But to be mentioned with some of the names, to be on the same list as those guys is huge for me. A guy that's totally doing this completely by himself. I've self-taught myself everything to do with podcasting, with editing, with recording. So it's huge, and it's because of you all. It's because of you all who listen every time I put out an episode. It's because of you all, and I can't thank you all enough for that. I saw that, and honestly couldn't believe it. It honestly brought a tear to my eye because I say this a lot, but when I first started this, I never would have thought that 5 people would want to listen to what I had to say about the Cats. And it's become so much more than that. Eclipsing 1,000 streams overall is another big accomplishment. Did that a while back with this podcast. So it's just a huge deal. And I can't thank you all enough. And to some people, that's nothing. Some people get triple that per episode. But to see that over 1,000 stream mark for me is just crazy. And I can't thank you all enough for that. So I just wanted to say that, get the sappy stuff out of the way. And now let's focus our attention to Indy and Tennessee. I wanted to record this just to celebrate the win against Illinois. I feel like that was a huge win. That we took care of business, and here we are. I don't want to understate the value of yesterday's win by looking forward to Tennessee. It was huge. It's what the fan base needed. They needed to get to that second weekend. I think it's what Coach Pope and his staff needed, with him getting his first career tourney win against Troy and then following it up with a pretty dominating performance against Illinois. I know we only won by 9, but the only time I thought the game might be in doubt was when they cut it to 6 with a minute and a half left. And then once Andrew Carr hit that and one, it was like, okay, good. But other than that, basically controlled the game. I mean, that was definitely not what I expected. If I expected us to win, I thought it was going to come down to the last possession just because of how good they are. But I guess they're just kind of streaky as a whole team. I think that's kind of their play style. Like they shot lots out against Xavier the first round, And, the kind of reputation with the Illinois team this year was they can't put two games together. And we were lucky to get, I mean, I would say lucky. I mean, we kind of earned them having a bad game too. It ain't like they were missing open shots. We were all over them for most of the game. So that win's huge. But as we do a lot in this world, this day and age, we look forward to the next thing. And that's Tennessee, who's standing in the way of us making an Elite Eight. So I like the Cats to beat Tennessee by 7. Give me the Cats by 7. Give me the Cats 81-74 in Indy, and we celebrate and we go to the Elite Eight to face hopefully Purdue. But I think Purdue will have its hands full with Houston, as will we if we beat Tennessee. But this is the best time of the year for me, especially when my team's still dancing on the second weekend. It makes it even better. There's not been as many upsets this year as usual, but it's still March Madness. It's still the best time of the year. So I'm just thankful for everything in my life, especially with the podcast, you all streaming it, and me getting voted a top 40 sports podcast in Kentucky. That's just another thing that I never thought was possible. So thank you all for that. And until next time, where we are hopefully celebrating a Sweet 16 dub on our way to the Elite Eight. This has been JD's Wildcat World. Thank you all for listening. And as always, we're available on everywhere you get your podcasts: Spotify, Apple Music, iHeartRadio, YouTube, Amazon Music, everywhere. We're there. So you all stream anywhere you can. And let's get this win on Friday night. The Cats play at 7:39 Eastern against the Tennessee Volunteers in Indy. Let's get the win and head on to the Elite Eight. I will be there. So, as always, go Cats. Let's get a big win.